welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am working on Scraplift Crafternoon and Scraptember day number 7. Scraplift Crafternoon is a weekly hop that I host here on my channel with my tribe member. There are now 10 of us in our tribe, and for those of us playing this week, our videos will be listed below in that playlist. You can just click that link and you can just grab yourself a cup of coffee and watch how each of us interpret this scraplift. We are scraplifting Brandy Jo. She is a friend of mine, fellow design team member over at Counterfeit Kit. I'll have her inspiration layout posted above. And so let's talk about what Scraptember is hoarding. And I am super guilty of hoarding all the things. And with that said, my counterfeit kit for the month of September is chock full of product that I have been hoarding. I put mostly Simple Stories product in my counterfeit kit. Our inspiration for this month is actually a Simple Stories collection called Life Captured. I have that collection, and so that is in my kit, as well as some of the little pieces that goes along with it. I added some other bits and pieces too, like these flowers from Sunny Days, some tiny alphas, some Bella Boulevard puffy stickers, and there's a couple of Rosie Studios die cut sitting here right now, plus the Life Captured stickers. Now, I have one sheet of the Life Captured paper here. This I used on my layout from earlier in September, the 3rd. This was my back to school, a class act. Always a Class Act was the name of that hop. And this is the other half of it. I pulled it in because I thought I might use some of these journaling cards to actually mat my two photos. These photos were 4x6. I did crop them down to 3x4 so that they could be easily used. I have this piece of Simple Stories paper, which is also from my counterfeit kit, and it's from the Life Documented Collection. 2014 is the year on that, and a piece of white cardstock. I'm going to pause. We're going to get started with this layout. I'll be right back. So I think the original layout from Brandy would lend itself for scraps. If you have a lot of strips of scraps left, you could easily make her original layout. Because this is a new month and I have a new kit, I really don't have a whole lot of scraps, and so my plan was to use this sunburst background in its place. And I am gonna trim it down. I'm not gonna use the full sheet. So I will have some scraps at the end of this. I'm taking off 1.5 inches from two sides, and that gives me, I believe I measured out a 10.5-inch square. That's what I'm doing here, is I'm measuring it to make sure it's actually square. And I am going to trim down my photos so that I can mat them, as I mentioned at the beginning. I'm taking 1/4 inch off the top and 1/4 inch off the side, and then I'm going to use the pink and the green journaling card to mat these two photos. I don't do Project Life. It's not actually my style. I do have Project Life cards in my stash, and of course a lot of the collections these days come with cut-aparts like these that you can use. And what I do with them more often than not is either I mat with them, I journal with them, or I might even be inclined to fussy cut the icons from them and use them as embellishments, but I hardly ever use them as they sit. And so that's kind of what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use this journaling card, or this particular pocket card, and I'm going to use it for the labels. And I'm trimming it by hand. I could have done this with my trimmer, but I'm just trimming it by hand into 2 labels. And I will put the other piece away for another layout. In fact, that layout went live on my channel yesterday. So they were recorded out of order, obviously, but both of them use my counterfeit kit. So now that I've got my photos matted and I've got my sunburst in the center of my page, I'm going to start embellishing. I have pulled out a few things, and I don't know if you can see it really well, but there's a white arrow. It is pointing to Jasper's tail underneath my exercise mat. He loved to destroy that exercise mat, and it didn't last very long, not only because he would take it apart like you see there, but also I bought it to weightlift on, not to do yoga on, and doing things like walking lunges or any moving thing caused those squares to come apart, and it just wasn't a great fit. Today my exercise mat is one large piece, and I can do lunges on it, squats, anything I want, as well as yoga and other things. Anyway, but this is about Jasper, who absolutely loved that mat, took it apart every chance he got. These photos were taken, I believe, the month before he turned a year old. So he is still technically a kitten. He's a large kitten in these photos, but he's still technically a kitten. And, you know, fun facts, I still call him a kitten anyway. So I'm kind of digging through that sticker sheet, looking for embellishments. This layout goes together super quickly. One of the things that you don't see, and I don't do it on camera, is I am going to go ahead and stitch in those white sections on that starburst. It gives it a lot of visual interest, and it's, you know, it's just kind of my thing. So again, I have deviated a lot from Brandy's original layouts, but I hope that you can kind of see where I took inspiration. I had considered cutting the sun rays into banners, but I didn't, so here we go. All right, I got this layout completely done. I'm kind of happy with the way that it turned out. I did some stitching on it. As you can see, I stitched the part of the wood grain circle and then stitched in between the white sections of the layout as well. And I think that really set it off nicely. I see that I missed one, so I'm going to go back and get that, and that'll be fixed in the close-ups at the end of the video, so just check those out. And got my journaling, did some foam adhesive in places under the title, under the flowers, hearts, and camera here. And of course you saw that I put an arrow pointing at my cat's tail underneath those foam squares for my workout mat. That workout mat was meant to help protect me when I lifted weights, but I discovered that doing lunges with it, it pulled them apart. And then he discovered that he could pull them apart, and he just had a blast with doing this quite often there for a while. Anyway, I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. Make sure that you check out that description box below for the playlist for Scraplift Crafternoon, as well as the playlist for Scraptember. There are several of us participating in Scraptember, so there might be a couple videos on this playlist for Scraplift Crafternoon that'll also take care of Scraptember's prompt as well, because they're really easy to add to your regular layouts. That's why Scraptember is one of my favorite hops of the year, so it makes life really easy for all of us creators. Again, thank you for being here, and I hope that you have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye.